Can you imagine life without work? If you have worked for 30 or 40 years, then it can be hard to imagine how you're going to spend your time when you no longer need to go to work. And if you clicked on this video today, it could be because you've got that thought rolling around in your head as well. You're going to retire soon. What are you going to do with all of that time that you're going to have? I want to talk today about 4 tips to help you transition into retirement. The first tip is to talk with your family, especially your spouse. Talk about how you envision retirement looking. Where do you want to live? Where does your spouse want to live? How busy do you want to be? How busy does your spouse want to be? Where do you have similar ideas? And where do your ideas differ? And talk through those so that you're on the same page when you get to retirement. It would be very frustrating if one of you wants to go, and the other wants to just sit at home. So you want to talk through that so that you know that you're on the same page. The second tip is to talk with your work. A lot of companies can offer a transition to a long-time employee by allowing you to cut back some of your hours. You also want to talk to your work about any retirement benefits you have, understanding how those are going to work, understanding how you're going to transition your health insurance, how long you might or might not want to stay on COBRA if that applies at your age. And then also talk through the projects that you're working on. Which ones do you really want to be involved in until they're finished? Which are you willing to hand off? Are you mentoring any people that you want to talk with and have a good transition there in that relationship? Once you've talked with your work, then the next thing, as you're really getting a picture of moving into retirement, is to create a schedule. So tip number 3 is create a draft schedule of your retirement week. What is that going to look like? Do you want to spend some time golfing or playing pickleball? Do you want to go to museums? Do you want to take some classes and learn a new instrument or learn how to cook something that you have never cooked before? Do you want to travel? And how much do you want to travel? And is that local travel or overseas travel? And what do you want to do, on a day-to-day basis around the house? Do you have projects that you need to do at the house to fix things up? And do you want to do that early in retirement or later in retirement? You want to think through the timing of your health, when you're going to feel like doing some of the things on your list, which things you should do earlier while you have the best of your health, which things you could push off to later when maybe you're not as strong and fit as you are at the beginning of retirement, and so you could do those later and still have time to do them. You also want to think about how much time you want to spend with grandkids and family and what those activities might look like, and make sure that you get all of that on your schedule so that you can see what are you going to be doing, and think about then what is that going to cost. Because tip number 4 is then you need to look at your finances. Make sure that you build in the money, the distributions from your accounts, or that your retirement income is going to cover it, to cover each of these things that you want to do. What might the cost be? How much money should you have available to cover that cost? And do you have enough to do everything that you want to do? You want to consider that. Work with your financial planner. If you don't have one, get a good financial planner that will help you determine that you have plenty of money to do everything that you want to do in retirement, and that confirm then that day that you can pull the trigger and make the transition from working full-time to easing into being retired full-time.